All right, let's dive into one of the most fundamental jobs for any IT admin today, managing users and groups inside Microsoft Entra ID. Think of this as your practical guide, your journey to mastering the core skills you absolutely need for modern identity management. Let's get right to it. So, what exactly is Microsoft Entra ID when you strip it all down? Well, you can forget about that old server room in the basement. Entra ID is Microsoft's cloud-based command center for identity. It's the modern central hub where you control who gets in, what they can see, and how they access all your company's stuff, from Microsoft 365 all the way to your custom cloud apps. And this is where you can really see the difference. It's like night and day. On one side, you've got traditional Active Directory. It lives on a server, it's very structured, and if you're not in the office, you need a VPN. On the other side, Microsoft Entra ID. This is a totally different beast. It was born in the cloud, has a much flatter structure, and, it just works over the internet. No VPN required. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics, individual users. Then we'll get smart about organizing them with groups. After that, we'll give them what they need by assigning licenses. And finally, we'll make everyone's lives easier by automating with self-service. It's a clear roadmap. Okay, first things first. We have to talk about the absolute foundation of everything, the user account. It doesn't matter if it's a full-time employee, a temporary contractor, or an external partner. Every single person who needs to touch your resources starts right here. Now, when you're working inside Entra, you're going to run into two main kinds of users. You've got your cloud identities. These are born in the cloud, they live in the cloud, and you manage them right there in the portal. Then you have synced identities. These guys start their life on an on-premises Active Directory server and are then synchronized up to the cloud. For them, the on-prem world is still the source of truth. And of course, it's not just about your internal team, right? You're always collaborating with people outside your company. That's where guest users are fantastic. It's the secure way to invite partners or vendors in, giving them just the access they need without creating a whole internal account for them. Actually creating a new user, it's super straightforward. You start with the essentials, like their login name, that's the user principal name, and their password. Then you fill in helpful details like their job title. But see that third step, setting the usage location? That one is way more important than it looks. Yeah, that one little property, the usage location, is absolutely critical. Why? Because without it, you cannot assign a single license. Period. Microsoft 365, anything else, it's a hard stop. It's a non-negotiable step that also helps make sure you're compliant with local rules. So don't ever skip it. Look, managing users one by one is okay when you're small, but it just doesn't scale. It becomes a nightmare. That's where groups come in to save the day and build some serious efficiency into how you work. In Entra, you've basically got two main flavors of groups. First, security groups. Their entire purpose is access control, granting permissions to apps, files, you name it. Then you have Microsoft 365 groups. These are all about collaboration. You make one and boom, you get a shared mailbox, a team calendar, a SharePoint site, the whole package. Just remember, one is for permissions, the other is for teamwork. So how do people actually get into these groups? Well, you've got two options. Assigned membership is the manual way. You physically add and remove people. It's fine for small teams, but dynamic membership, that's the real game changer. It automatically adds or removes people based on rules you set, like if they're in the sales department. It saves so much time. And check this out. Here's a perfect example. This simple little rule says, hey, if any user has the word administrator in their job title, automatically put them in this group. Think about that. A new sysadmin starts, you create their account, and they instantly get all the right permissions. You didn't have to do a thing. That's the magic right there.
All right, so we've got our users. Check. We've organized them into smart groups. Check. What's next? Well, now we have to actually give them the tools to get their jobs done, and that means assigning licenses.
Oh, and before we jump headfirst into licensing, here's a quick pro tip you'll thank me for later. If you ever accidentally delete a user account, don't panic. You have a 30-day safety net, a grace period where you can restore that account before it's gone for good. Okay, back to licensing. And if you ever needed a reason why we love groups so much, this chart says it all. The administrative effort, the manual work you have to do, it's super high when you assign licenses one by one. But when you switch to group-based licensing, that effort just plummets. It's way, way more efficient. So you really have two paths here. You can go to each user and assign a license directly. Or, the much smarter way, you go to a group and assign the license there. Now, anyone who becomes a member of that group automatically gets the license. And if they leave, the license is reclaimed automatically. It's a no-brainer. All right, for our last stop on this journey, let's talk about something that's going to make your users and your help desk team a lot happier. We're going to reduce the workload by automating one of the most common IT requests ever. I mean, really, what's one of the biggest, most constant headaches for any IT admin? It's forgotten passwords, right? The calls, the tickets, they just never seem to stop. So how do we fix this? Well, the answer is a beautiful thing called Self-Service Password Reset, or SSPR. And setting it up is basically a simple 3-step process. The best practice is to enable it for a small selected group of users first to test it out. Then you decide which ways they can prove their identity. And finally, you make them register that info the next time they sign in. And these are the kinds of methods users can choose from to prove they are who they say they are. Things like the Authenticator app on their phone, getting a text message, or answering security questions. You get to decide how many of these they need to set up before they can securely reset their own password. Now, here's a really important piece, especially for anyone in a hybrid setup. When a user resets their password in the cloud, how does your on-prem Active Directory find out about it? Well, that's where a feature called Password Write Back comes in. It's a premium feature that securely syncs that new password back down, keeping everything aligned. And that pretty much wraps up our journey. We've walked through the absolute fundamentals, from creating a single user to organizing them with smart groups, licensing them, and finally, empowering them with self-service. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If identity really is the new security perimeter, how are you going to use these tools to build and secure yours?